All right, it is 6:30, so I'd like to call this meeting to order, and I would ask everyone rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. May I have roll call, please?
Mr. Pantera.
Here.
Mrs. Case is not able to join us this evening. Mrs. Greenberg.
Here.
Mrs. Baker is not able to join us this evening. Mrs. Christensen.
Here. And actually, before our performers leave, can we give them one more round of applause? Thank you.
Yaru, Yaru.
Bravo. Next on the agenda is approval of agenda. Items approved by consent will not come up for discussion during the meeting, but will be approved when the agenda is adopted. This is possible since members of the governing board received the agenda along with backup materials at least 24 hours prior to the meeting and have had time to review and consider all items. Prior to the agenda being adopted, members of the governing board may ask that an item be removed from the consent agenda and brought to the floor for discussion at the appropriate place on the agenda. Any member of the audience who submitted a blue public comment card prior to the start of the meeting will be recognized to speak on that agenda item. Under items for approval, we received no blue comment cards. So no audience member asked that we remove anything from consent. Does any member of the governing board wish to have an item removed from the consent agenda? Mrs. Christensen.
Item F4.
Okay, so item F4 will be moved to become G2. So after the current item for approval, acceptance of gifts and donations, we will go to item F4. Mr. Pantera, do you have anything?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Christensen, may I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda and recommended consent agenda items as revised?
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is governing board statements. Mrs. Christensen, I'll start with you.
First off, I just want to say hello to the people online and let you know that because you weren't here in person, you missed an amazing performance by some of our educators that they were able to sing a beautiful song to us. So thank you to those individuals that sang to the governing board and the people in the audience. And I just want to welcome all the educators, parents, families, community members that are here today and online. And a big virtual hug to all of you parents that are sending our recent graduates off to college. My day is tomorrow. We're headed off to Boston. So yeah, it's time. So I just want to let all you parents know that have recent graduates that I feel your pain.
Mr. Pantera?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad you're all here, either in person or online. I'm very happy to be here and announce some things. My granddaughter is visiting from Boise, Idaho soon. Yay. I'm very excited about that. She's 10 years old. And I'm looking forward to hopefully getting her to see our Spanish program over at Desert Springs, right? Whispering Winds, one of them. Sandpiper. And because she does that in Boise. And I'm so happy I can do that. I can say, look what we've got here. See, folks, I'm doing my part to get more students into our district. All right, so I hope you all paying attention to that. I've already got the Bobo milk cans ready for her to go to and buy while she's here. I found out too that a former student of mine, Sedona Heidinger, she's down in Tucson. She's just taken a job at Tanque Verde as a high school, teaching art history. You know, and one thing she said was it was what she learned here in PV that inspired her to want to become an educator. So those kind of things when you hear it are very exciting. And I'm just glad, it tickles me pink. This week, we went to the United Parent Council meeting, my first one ever. And I tell you, it was really interesting. I would have gone to them all my career, but they always had their meetings when I was at work. So I couldn't go. Otherwise, I'd have been there. And I really like their attitude and what they want to do to help our district. It's again, that teamwork that we do, that we strive for, that communication between all the groups. Very happy to see that. And then yesterday we saw some new administrators. Welcome them on board. So many new faces, and they're all wonderful faces. And they've got great resumes. They're going to do great things for our district. So I'm very hopeful and very happy about the way this year is starting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pantera. Thank you, Mrs. Christensen. Mr. Pantera said many things I was going to say, so I'll keep it brief, but thank you to PVA for hosting the new administrator reception yesterday. It was a lot of fun to see new faces, or not so new faces, but faces in new positions, and great start to the year, and the same with the UPC meeting. And just want to thank everybody who is here. And we'll try and get you home before the storm hits, if it does. And I just want to welcome Mrs. Christensen and her husband to the land of empty nesters. So with that, next on the agenda is awards and recognitions, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Droege as we head down to the front of the dais.
Good evening, President Greenberg, governing board members, members of cabinet, and attendees both in person and virtual. Tonight, we have 2 recognitions to share with you. This evening, we'll be inviting our honorees to the front of the room for their recognition and photo. So please make your way to the front of the room when I say your name. Our first honoree tonight was recently awarded first place in a nationwide scholastic contest hosted by America 250, the official nonpartisan organization tasked by Congress with planning the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. This prestigious competition challenged participants to reflect on the meaning of America, and this student's exceptional essay captured the judges' hearts, earning her a first place for her grade level. Please put your hands together for, from Desert Cove Elementary School, Lyric Sharp. Our next honoree was named the 2024 Distinguished Eagle Award recipient by the Association of School Business Officials International. This award is the highest honor in school business and is presented to business officials who make outstanding and unique contributions to their district and profession. This honoree is greatly respected and admired by our colleagues and earned this accolade because of her integrity, professionalism, and mentorship. She also fosters a culture of trust, collaboration, and continuous improvement here in PV schools. Please help me congratulate friend and colleague, Assistant Superintendent of Business Operations, Jill Berrigan. And that, President Greenberg, concludes this evening's awards and recognitions.
Thank you all, and congratulations again to our honorees. Next on the agenda is superintendent comments. Unfortunately, Dr. Reynolds is under the weather, so there will be no superintendent comments this evening. So next on the agenda is acceptance of gifts and donations. And we appreciate all of our donations. I'd like to call attention to one, the Dorito Partners gave $1,000 to Echo Mountain Intermediate for their Caught Being Kind store. If any other donors are here, you have our thanks, or if you know anybody who donated, please extend our thanks. May I have a motion for acceptance of gifts and donations, please?
So moved.
Any board members wishing to make a comment? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is the item from the consent agenda that was moved, which is consideration approval of elementary field trip requests. So Dr. Lindsay, can you tell us a little bit about this one?
Absolutely. Good evening, President Greenberg and members of the board. This agenda item G2, in which we are recommending approval, is for an overnight field trip for North Ranch Elementary for 6th grade students to attend Disney World, or Disneyland, I should say, with travel dates of December 3rd through the 5th.
Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. Mrs. Christensen, may I have a motion to approve consideration approval of elementary field trip requests?
So moved.
Thank you. Does any board member have a comment or question? Mrs. Christensen, almost.
Just a clarifying question. This came to me from a community member, and I just wanted to have you provide some clarification. The title was ambiguous, and the constituent community member was concerned about the educational value of this, but so I want to have you explain, and then I'll give my comments.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is a field trip that the school's been doing for the last, I believe, 6 years, with the exception of the COVID year. So it is a tradition at school, and it's an opportunity for team building. But according to our policy, we also have to have an educational relationship to our programming in the classroom. So Disney provides a youth education series where they offer various curriculum-based workshops and learning sessions for kids. And the teachers have chosen different activities over the course of their time going to Disney, and they have one planned this year, which is the illustrative storytelling.
Thank you. And I just wanted to kind of give my input on this too, that it was an amazing experience when my son went. And I think the concern was that, I think it said storytelling. And so I wanted to ensure our constituents that they're not going to hear stories. Disney has some amazing leadership opportunities for our young folks. And I know when my son went, I believe it was in 6th grade at Pinnacle Peak Prep, it encouraged him to want to do some things because they are able to talk to the Imagineers there. And so he's actually going into music production, and he's interested in that kind of stuff. So it inspired him. So I just wanted to assure our community members that it does have an educational value, and also it's fun. So thank you for clarifying.
Thank you, Mrs. Christensen. Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. Does anybody else, Mr. Pantera, have any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is call to the public, so I'd ask that you turn your attention to the video monitors.
Call to the Public is about to convene. This portion of today's meeting allows the public the opportunity to address the governing board. Although state law does not require that the governing board hold a call to the public, the Paradise Valley Unified School District and its board have chosen to do so because we believe it's important to hear about concerns and issues from our community. While Call to the Public is not designed to be a discussion, the board is here to listen. Due to Arizona open meeting law, the governing board cannot respond to, discuss, or take any action on items brought up during this time. However, staff members may be directed to get back to you and address individual concerns. As a reminder, the point of this and every board meeting is to accomplish the business at hand, and to be able to do so in an open and collaborative way. All in attendance are expected to observe meeting rules, as well as rules of politeness and decorum, so that we may serve as an example to our students that issues can be discussed in a respectful and civil manner.
Thank you. Tonight, one person has submitted a comment card prior to the start of the meeting, so she will have 3 minutes for remarks. As a reminder, we ask that you please direct your comments to the board. Please state your first and last name when you come to the podium, and our speaker tonight is Amanda Lim.
President Greenberg, Governing Board, and Cabinet. My name's Amanda Lim. I'm a parent in the district and a STEM professional. I just wanted to take a moment to highlight the positive impact that the Paradise Valley Unified School District is having on developing future STEM professionals. I had the opportunity and have for many years to work with the TGen Bioscience Leadership Academy. It's a summer program that brings together 20 high school students to learn more about biomedical research and develop their leadership skills. To earn a spot in the program, rising sophomores and juniors are selected to be finalists and interview alongside 40 different high school students to be selected among the 20. I'm proud to say Abigail Washler from Paradise Valley High School was among the cohort of outstanding students. Abigail is part of CREST, a 4-year honor STEM program that prepares students to be competitive candidates both for college and job opportunities. The CREST program is truly living up to its goal of developing STEM professionals and leaders. Abigail joins a list of exceptional students who have come from the CREST program that have been selected for the TGen Bioscience Leadership Academy year after year. I had the privilege to attend the recognition ceremony where Abigail was honored alongside her cohort and received a $1,000 scholarship. Even more valuable was seeing firsthand how PV schools are nurturing STEM professionals of tomorrow. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next on the agenda are items for discussion. Excuse me. The following agenda items, I-1 through I-7, are recommended policy revisions resulting from recent legislative action. A brief summary of the recommended revisions will be provided. These are first readings, so no action will be taken at tonight's meeting. First is consideration of revisions to Governing Board Policy IHA, Basic Instructional Program. And I will turn it over to Ms. Copen to summarize.
Good evening, President Greenberg, Governing Board and Cabinet and guests. Policy IHA, language has been changed to Policy IHA per House Bill 2779, ARS 15701.02, that increases required instructional time on the Holocaust and other genocides within our social studies classrooms. We recommend the ASBA language revisions, and the changes are highlighted in yellow.
Thank you, Ms. Copen. Does any board member have any comments or questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will move to item 2, consideration of revisions to Governing Board Policy IJNDB, use of technology resources in instruction, and I will send it back to Ms. Copen.
Policy IJNDB has been modernized with language that communicates current technologies, including artificial intelligence. We recommend the ASBA language revisions, and the changes again are highlighted in yellow.
Thank you. Does any board member have a comment or question on?
Yeah, mine's not coming. I do.
Thank
Hmm?
Mr. Pantera.
Yeah, mine's not coming up right now to read exactly, but what was why did we do these changes again? These recommended changes? What was the benefit of them again?
President Greenberg, Mr. Pantera, yes, in this specific policy, we're modernizing language. So just an example is we're adding like something that says cloud-based systems because the policy did not reflect current technologies. So the language has all been modernized, and it is including artificial intelligence.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions on IJNDB revisions? Okay, seeing none, we will go to item 3, which is consideration of revisions to Governing Board Policy IKF, graduation requirements. Back to Ms. Copen.
Yes, so policy IKF, graduation requirements, language has been changed to this policy per, again, House Bill 2779, ARS 15701.02, that increases required instructional time on the Holocaust and other genocides. We recommend the ASBA language revisions, and changes are again in yellow.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on this one? And again, this was literally just adding the language we talked about previously. Mr. Pantera, you have any? You're good. Right, now I know. Any questions on? Okay, we're good on this one. Okay, next is, sorry, I almost missed one. Consideration revisions to governing board policy JFABC, admission of transfer students. And Ms. Copen, this is your last one, I think.
Yes. Policy JFABC, language has been changed to this policy per House Bill 2645 from ARS 15701.04, which delineates the role of the State Board of Education to develop guidelines for school districts and charter schools to consider in their policies concerning academic credit calculation for foster students who transfer while they're enrolled in grades 9 through 12. This policy will require review of foster students' educational records within 10 days of receiving and discuss a graduation plan with these students. We recommend the ASBA language revisions, and changes are highlighted in yellow and additions are bold and italicized.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Mrs. Christensen?
It was my understanding that these changes also were going to encourage, because as we know, some of our foster kids that come through our district can have varying degrees of classes. And so this is to be able to assist them to make it easier for us to identify the credits that they need. And it's kind of, it helps, right? Is that my understanding correct?
Ms. Christensen, you're absolutely right. Yes, this is to take in consideration everything they bring to us, and the goal is to help them graduate while meeting the state recommended guidelines. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Any other questions or comments on JFABC? Next is consideration revisions to governing board policy GCF, professional staff hiring. Dr. Holmes.
Madam President, members of the board, the changes that we intend to recommend are an outcome of Senate Bill 1558, which creates a new statute, ARS 15509. And the recommended language is connected to the new requirement for candidate disclosures upon application. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Dr. Holmes. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Like we said in the beginning, these are pretty standard, pretty short. Seeing none, next is consideration of revisions to governing board policy GDF, support staff hiring. Dr. Holmes.
Madam President, members of the board, the policy we just discussed was professional staff hiring. This is our support staff hiring policy, and the recommended changes to language is exactly the same.
Does anybody have any questions on policy GDF changes? Ms. Christensen.
Not really a question, it's just a comment. I know that we're all committed to keeping our children safe, and so these last two are just to ensure that all our kids in the district are safe, and that we vet the people that we hire. And so
That's correct.
I'm happy with these changes. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least is consideration of revisions to governing board policy JFB, open enrollment. And I'll turn it to Dr. Corson.
President Greenberg, members of the board, policy JFB, open enrollment, Arizona revised statutes have given school districts the opportunity to give open enrollment preference to children of a member of the armed forces who either is on active duty or was killed in the line of duty. And we are recommending this language change to our open enrollment policy. Happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Corson. Does any member of the board have any questions or comments regarding the change to this policy? Seeing none. Thank you all very much. Obviously, we will be doing second read on approval at our next board meeting. And so before we adjourn, I'd like to remind you that that next board meeting will be held Thursday, September 19th, beginning at 6:30 PM. And we are at the end of the agenda. So Mrs. Christensen, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you all.